Hey, this is Crystal with another Tip Tuesday for you. Today I wanted to talk to you about the age-old conversation of buying versus renting. There's all kinds of things that come along as, pros versus cons. The pros are always the fun ones. You can do what you want with the house and make it look how you want, when you want. You're not waiting on a landlord for approval or repairs, things like that. But the things that I really wanted to highlight on today is the financial pros of owning your own home. It comes along to where I used an example. I ran some numbers and I used an example of a $100,000 purchase with putting down just 3%. So it's not like there's a lot of equity starting this thing out. Just to kind of show the time frame that it takes before you start to really gain by owning the home versus renting it. And something that's kind of a different way to look at things is that when you're renting, you're obviously paying someone else for that property. When you own the home, you're basically writing yourself a check. There's some interest that's going to be accumulated by the investor, but ultimately, a lot of that money is staying in your own pocket. So you're paying yourself for the house that you're living in. So that's a huge pro, and sometimes not how it's always seen when it comes to writing the rent check versus making the mortgage payment. And it's a good way, I think, to look at that. But when I ran the numbers, I'm going to go ahead and put a chart up here. And what this shows is that even with just 3% equity starting out, 3% down on a $100,000 purchase, taking into account the closing costs and even the selling costs, so saying that it could cost us 6% of the home's value to sell the property, accounting for that even. So you take that all right up front as far as the cost of owning a home, and you compare it to your monthly rent payment. And in this example, I used rent of $750 a month. I felt like that was kind of a good ballpark. In some areas that's a little high, and in some it's a little low, but I figured it's close. So using that as my rent payment, you can see that by the 4th year, you've started to gain. 3rd year, it's a little bit of a loss still. But from years 4 on, you're going to grow between the home being worth more naturally due to just the historical percentage that we see as a gain. And usually that's somewhere between 1 and 3% depending on the area that your home becomes worth more from the time that you buy it. And then obviously they call it an amortization gain. And that amortization gain is basically you making that payment. So you've made payments, which gives you some equity, as well as the appreciation, which is where your house becomes worth more, just kind of naturally due to the environment and the community that you're in. Some families experience a tax benefit. That's something that an accountant would have to help you with. It depends on your family size, your deductions, how much your taxes and your interest are that you've paid out as to whether or not that's a real tax benefit to you anymore. Those laws have changed, so it's a little different nowadays than what it was just in the most recent years. So I just want you to take a look at this chart and see that over just 10 years, you can have up to a $26,000 or more financial benefit to owning your home versus renting it. So obviously if you're looking at the $200,000 range, if that's more your market or somewhere in between, you could double that number, and essentially you're going to be in about the same concept. You're going to be pretty close, even if your rent's a little higher. So I think that's a good way to put it in a visual perspective, that the financial gain is there to own your own home. And if you have questions on this, it is a little tricky and it's a different way of looking at things, but it's best, I think, to be prepared and to plan. So if you would like for us to run one of these personal ones for you, just feel free to reach out through our website, or our phone number is 620-200-0840, and we'd be happy to kind of make it a personalized one to your area, as well as the rent that you're paying and the price range that you're wanting to potentially buy in, that hopefully will help you put it in perspective as to what you personally could gain in your area if you consider buying versus renting. So this time of year, if you've got tax returns coming in, or money that you've been saving up, or those bonuses from your employment, anything coming in that's helping you with a potential down payment option, this is just something that hopefully gives you a little bit more peace of mind that looking to buy your home really is a great investment and a place to put those assets that is a safe one in most cases. So hopefully this is helpful information. Don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions. We'll be happy to help at any time. Thanks.